I dare you to Google Meltology. Go on, what did you find? All I got was a load of results for restaurants that specialise in grilled cheese dishes. But somehow, this douche canoe came to the conclusion that Meltology was part of the hidden history of the Tartarian Meltdown, whatever the hell that is. So today's video is going to be really simple. This clown will show us a building that has melted, and I will tell you what's really going on. Pretty straightforward, right? Oh yeah, and keep an eye open for rock balloons. Please subscribe.
First of all, we are gonna have a look at the different words and terms we use in Meltology, so you can better know what we mean when we say them. As we know, geology use a bunch of pseudo-scientific terms and a ridiculous made-up timeline with billions of years ago, and all this nonsensical crap and lies. The truth of Meltology is much easier. All we gotta do is simply describe what we're seeing with our eyes. It's very simple, people. Your eyes never lie, but your mind can be programmed and hijacked with bullshit.
But your eyes can deceive you, and they quite often do. But to be fair, I do like the look of some of your Meltology words. Rock curtain, mortar snot, and balloon rocks. And I, for one, am glad to see you using these terms instead of those stupid pseudo-scientific ones like geology, sandstone, layers and fossils. Because there isn't even any proof that any of those are real words. Just because some science guy said them once or twice. I, for one, would much rather trust a guy on YouTube who may or may not have spent too much of his time sniffing things that aren't meant to be sniffed.
Okay, so hopefully you have actually seen my first documentary before watching this one, because it will give you evidence of how everything is fried.
Fried. So the first documentary was a cooking show. Hang on a second. Meltology, fried. You're trying to subliminally market your new cheese toasty restaurant, aren't you?
So this documentary is just about the melt. Okay, I'm gonna explain the different levels of melt and what happened, etc. The stuff I know so far, of course, there is still a lot to learn for me as well, so I'm just gonna explain the different types of heat damage we see. And now we're gonna see a few photos of rock balloons or balloon rocks. You know, you can use both of these. It doesn't matter, right?
Right. Because when you are just making shit up, it doesn't matter at all. You can just say anything and the idiots that believe you will lap it up and tell you how great you are. And just so there's a little bit of context, this is from the description of this guy's channel. The earth is like a circuit board. The buildings were the components. It all got short-circuited and fried. And now we live in the ruins and ashes of a past advanced civilization. Whoa, intense, right?
So the heat damage here is all over the wall, but the rock balloons are these. Hold on, can I make that bigger? Okay. So these are the rock balloons. That's when these red bricks just blow up like balloons because of the heat.
Ah, right, so those are rock balloons. And there's me thinking they were just rocks placed into the brickwork for decoration. Because if you Google mixed stone brick walls, nothing comes up. Definitely not over 51 million search results. And a quick question, if I may. Why is it that only a couple of these red bricks are... Bricks? What's a brick? And a quick question, if I may. Why is it that only one or two of these red bricks have blown up and left all the surrounding bricks completely intact?
Okay, you got air and everything in them that's expanding from the heat, and they just blew up like this. Nobody ever built this way, okay? You can clearly see heat damage all over this wall here.
Wait, you don't mean to tell me that those 51 million search results are all fake? Well, my gast has never been so flabbered. I feel so betrayed and hurt and lied to by the internet. And there was me thinking that nobody had ever been dishonest online.
And here is what I mean with the sizes these rock balloons can be. Okay, some of them are just enormous, like you see here. This little thing here was never built like this. This is a pocket of survival. We will come to that later. And here as well you see this two huge rock balloons.
So that isn't the village of Monsatano in Portugal, voted the most Portuguese village in Portugal, which is a bit strange. I mean, it's not going to have been voted the most Welsh village in Portugal, is it? The village is unique and stands out for its impressive boulders, which the village is effectively built around. So that building was built like that. It's just I thought I heard you say that it was never built like that. But we all make mistakes, and it seems like you make more than most, but who am I to judge? But it's 2-0 to me so far. Not that I'm keeping score or anything. This isn't a competition.
Let's see. There as well you see two large ones on either side of this little structure here.
That all sounds very familiar to me. Two large ones at the base of a little structure. Not that little, by the way.
So, yeah.
So it isn't Casa do Penedo, which means rock house in Portuguese, an architectural monument located between Celarico de Basto and Fafe, I don't know, in northern Portugal. Portugal seems to like rocks almost as much as Roger from Mud Fossil University does. Anyway, it's received its name because it was built from 4 large boulders that serve as the foundation, walls and ceiling of the house. That's 3-0 to me now, I think.
This is rock balloons. Here you see a bunch of them. This is all heat damage. You can still see pieces of red brick in here. And of course around here. The reason these arches usually survive is because this whole X Factor event was a electrical overload. Okay, it was a short circuit, and these buildings were the components like on a circuit board.
Okay, I'll bite. Dare I ask, a circuit board for what?
Here as well, all heat damage, rock balloons, color getting squeezed out, carbon 14, you can see.
Oh, so it isn't iron oxide, which is what gives red bricks their colours and explains the red colours we can see on your rock balloons. I know that you'll say that proves your point, but it doesn't. Iron oxide is a component of the second most abundant mineral in Earth's lower mantle, which easily explains why we see it in so many rocks, many of which are just bits of the Earth's crust that have broken off over time. Is that 4-0 now or 3? I'm not keeping count. Now, you mentioned pockets of survival earlier. What exactly are they? Can you explain it to us?
Okay, so now we are gonna look at pockets of survival. Okay, those are all over the place. Some of them are very easy to see and recognize. Some of them are very difficult or could be difficult. But I'm gonna explain a few examples of pockets of survival. So, as you can see here, you see a melted building.
Melted building? Looks like the side of a cliff to me with stuff built into it, but I'm no expert.
This section here is in very, very bad condition. But you can still see, like, this archway here, you still see the bricks, etc. But most of them are very, very melted. Of course, in mainstream geology, they will tell you this is a mountain and that some primitive people came here to carve this because they had nothing better to do.
Sorry, my bad, it's a mountain. Allegedly. And I called it a cliff, what an idiot. I doubt it was because they had nothing better to do. If I had to guess, just based on what I can see, which is what you suggested people do, I would say that it looks, to my untrained eyes, like a cave monastery site in southern Georgia, excavated from the slopes of the Urasheti mountain on the left bank of the Kura River. Like I said, I'm just guessing.
And you also have one over here. Another pocket of survival. You can also see it's heat damaged by looking at the color, etc. You got more, little bit down here. I can take a zoom. Maybe, hold on, sorry. Yeah, I can zoom in a little bit. Here you see the pocket here and also a little one here. But the rest of it very melted and scorched. As you can see, you got an archway here as well.
Now, I don't want to be a negative Nancy or anything, but I do have a question. And I think that's 5-0 now, by the way. Just in case you were keeping score, I'm not. Anyway, my question is this. How come the metal railings didn't melt or show any damage?
Here you have another one. Old walled building. Electric component on the circuit board. So this one survived as well, very damaged of course. And you got some of the bricks here, also very damaged. But it's a pocket of survival and also here.
So when he refers to pockets of survival, my best guess would be that that is how he explains away completely undamaged parts of these buildings. I mean, he's got to offer some sort of explanation, no matter how stupid it sounds, because anybody who isn't a completely gullible idiot would ask questions like this as well. Because anybody with an internet connection can find what these buildings actually are. Now, this guy is what I like to call a drill bit. A what, Creaky? A drill bit. You know, a small boring tool. But he's a drill bit with a following, and that following laps up this nonsense, which is a problem, because even though I would surmise that most of the people that buy into his crap are adults that should really know better, it isn't impossible that impressionable young people, aka kids, would come across this tosh and actually believe it, thus creating a new generation of morons with brains that are
very, very melted.
Well, yes indeed. I couldn't have said it better myself. So this video is over 2 hours long. Not this one, don't panic. And usually I wouldn't bother looking at a video this length because I spend hours hunting through it for maybe a couple of minutes of usable footage. But everything you've just watched has come from the first 15 minutes of this guy's video. He doesn't mess around, he just gets straight into the nonsense. However, if you think I'm sitting through 2 hours of this garbage, then you've got two hopes. Bob Hope and no hope. But if you were the sort of sicko that can sit through over 2 hours of this drivel, then knock yourself out. Just type the Tartarian Meltdown into YouTube and go for it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Love you, bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.